event. This process is called scientific inquiry. Scientific inquiry begins with the observation of something unknown, which led to the scientist to ask questions. Scientists follow an organized system to conduct their research of their unknown factor. This system is called the scientific method. Scientific method, the use of a system of experimentation and analysis to explore observations and answer questions. Scientists use scientific method to help them find evidence, make observation, and organize new information. This system includes several steps that help scientists conduct their experiment. The scientific method starts with a single question. The type of question asked creates boundaries for the experiment. The more specific the question is, the more focused the experiment will be. Using the scientific method is like building a house. The initial question could be thought of as the foundation of the house, just as a shaky foundation can cause a house to fall apart. Not having a clear, specific question can prevent an experiment from having a direction and then failing. Once a question has been posed, scientists conduct background research to gather information about the experiment they need to perform. Scientists use the information they have found to make an assumption about the answer to their question. Hypothesis is a possible explanation for an observation or problem that can further be tested by experimentation. There can be many various hypotheses proposed to answer a single question. However, there should be only one experiment for each hypothesis. The hypothesis, the proposed answer to a scientific question. The plural, hypothesis. Biologists use experiment to test hypotheses. During the experiment, they study variables, factors that can change an experiment result. There are two different variables. An independent variable is a condition that has been changed before an experiment. A dependent variable is a factor that is influenced by the independent variable. It's what is considered an experiment, a procedure used to test a hypothesis. Independent variable, a change is made to a condition. Independent variable, the result shows the effect of the change made. There is independent variable and dependent variable. Any data from the experiment, even if the data prove the hypothesis wrong, is collected and analyzed in a results steps. This analysis can be done by the team performing the experiment or by other scientists after results are gathered and analyzed. Conclusion can be made. These conclusions are important and may result in the need for a brand new experiment, which is why collecting all the results is important. After the analysis, scientists compare the conclusion and the original hypothesis. They ask this analysis can be done by the team performing the experiment or by another scientist. After results are gathered and analyzed, conclusions can be made. These conclusions are important and may result in the need for a brand new experiment, which is why collecting all the results is important. After analysis, scientists compare the conclusion and the original hypothesis. We ask, does the conclusion confirm or support the hypothesis? If it does, then the experiment is complete and the results are considered the answer to the question. When a hypothesis is supported by the results of an experiment, the hypothesis becomes a theory. If the hypothesis is not supported, a new hypothesis must be made and tested. In these cases, the scientific method begins the cycle again from the conclusion that proved the hypothesis wrong to a new hypothesis, to more experimentation. Does the conclusion support the hypothesis? Yes or no? Yes, you have a theory. No, back to the drawing board with a new hypothesis. The final step in the scientific method is the sharing of the result. Publishing result enable the scientific and the medical communities to evaluate the findings themselves. It also provides instructions so that other researchers can repeat the experiment, build on it, and verify and or confirm result. The result should also be shared with other scientists who may be able to use those results in their own experiment in the future. Results are often shared in scientific journals, which are written by scientists who perform the experiment. In the case of clinical studies, published results can help make information decision about a person's health behavior. This is the abbreviation of scientific method. Ask or identify a problem. Conduct background research, create hypothesis. After that, test the hypothesis with an experiment, make observation and collect data, analyze result. If conclusion are false, change variable and begin again. Share the result. Check your knowledge. What is the purpose of the scientific method? Must be created before the scientific method can be used. What helps focusing the scope of the experiment? What is the purpose of doing background research? How do scientists conduct experimentation? What happens to the dependent variable when a change is made to the independent variable? What is the purpose of sharing result? What is the purpose of analyzing steps? If the conclusion proves the hypothesis is wrong, what is the next step? The process of scientific inquiry can be what? The scientific method helps scientists the answers. The scientific method helps scientists structure their research. The inquiry must be created before the scientific method can be used. The inquiry or question. A specific question. Number 3. What help with focusing the scope of the experiment? Specific question help focusing the scope of experiment. Background research is used to make an assumption about the answer to the question. Number 4. Scientific tool and observation. How do scientists conduct experimentation? By using scientific tool and observation. The dependent variable will also change. The sharing result steps exist for a scientist to share the result with the public and with few scientists. Number 8. What is the purpose of analysis? Analysis step. The purpose of analysis step, the analysis step allows you to examine your result to see if your hypothesis is supported. Number 9. If the conclusion proves the hypothesis is wrong, what is the next? The next step would be start the scientific method with a new hypothesis. Number 10. The process of scientific inquiry can be a cycle.